Tonight, a US court appearance for Nicholas Rossi after his extradition from Scotland.
My name is Arthur Knight Brown. My date of birth is 22nd of the 11th, 1986.
He has not admitted his name or birth date accurately.
The rape suspect, accused of faking his own death, still claims he's a victim of mistaken identity.
Also making the headlines, a Rwanda rebellion facing Rishi Sunak. Conservative MPs urge the Prime Minister to toughen his plans on deporting asylum seekers to Africa.
A palace coup for restoration plans as Glasgow's People's Palace and Winter Gardens land almost £1 million of lottery cash.
And the new boy in town, Nicholas Kuhn, says he's ready to win silverware as he becomes Celtic's first January signing. I'm Kellyanne Woodland in Edinburgh.
And I'm John Mackay in Glasgow. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. An American rape suspect accused of faking his own death caused immediate confusion during his first appearance in a US court after being extradited from Scotland. Nicholas Rossi was flown out of Edinburgh earlier this month following a 2-year legal battle in which he claimed he was a victim of mistaken identity.
Rossi told the judge in Utah he is Arthur Knight and went on to dismiss the suggestion he was not giving his true name as complete hearsay. Here's our chief reporter, Sharon Frew.
Appearing via video link from Utah County Prison, the 36-year-old was first asked to confirm his identity.
I think I'm going to have the jail restate what he said.
My name is Arthur Knight Brown.
The prosecutor quickly filled the judge in on the background to the case.
This individual has been extradited and he has not admitted his name or birth date accurately.
Objection, my lady. That is complete hearsay.
For 2 years since his arrest in Glasgow, Nicholas Rossi has claimed to be an Irish orphan called Arthur Knight and that he's being framed by Utah authorities. He lost his final appeal against extradition in December and returned to the United States 12 days ago. After a protracted legal battle, his abrupt departure from Scotland came as a surprise to his uncle in Connecticut.
Now it's a matter of, wow, this is real. This isn't just something, a few thousand miles away. This is right at home now.
Michael Aliverdian says he at first struggled to believe that the man arrested in a Glasgow hospital was his nephew, as he had been told Nicholas had died in 2020.
I believe he'll continue the same pattern he's been doing. Once he admits he's Nicholas Rossi, then the chips are going to fall. I know my family, they don't support him at all. If I had to face-to-face, I would tell him, if you've done this, then admit to it and deal with it as a man.
Nicholas Rossi is facing charges in 2 neighbouring jurisdictions in Utah. He's accused of raping 2 women and of sexually assaulting another. The offences date from 2008.
Mr. Knight, we're finished.
Rossi complained that his lawyer had not been notified of the next hearing. He will return to court in Utah next week. Sharon Frew, STV News.
UK government plans to deport asylum seekers who cross the English Channel to Rwanda are hanging in the balance, with MPs set to hold a final vote on the controversial policy in the next few hours. Well, our Westminster correspondent Paris Gurtsayanis has the latest. Paris.
Kellyanne, this is Rishi Sunak's last chance to get deportation flights to Rwanda off the ground after they were blocked last year by European judges and the UK Supreme Court. But dozens of the Prime Minister's own MPs say this legislation doesn't go far enough, and last night 60 of them delivered the biggest rebellion of his premiership so far. The government defeated their amendments, but only half as many rebels, just 33, need to vote against the legislation in the next couple of hours to throw out the Rwanda plan entirely and plunge Rishi Sunak's government into chaos. The debate is wrapping up just now, and Downing Street says it's confident it has the votes. But even if the Rwanda Bill clears the final hurdle in the Commons, it faces a tougher test in the House of Lords, and there's always a risk of legal challenge. Labour says the whole Rwanda plan is a costly failure. The SNP say it's cold, callous and wrong. But this is a policy that Rishi Sunak has to deliver before a general election to retain credibility in his own party, let alone with voters.
All right, Paris, thank you very much.
A woman has told a jury that a man accused of murdering Emma Caldwell attempted to strangle her with the cord of a hoover. The witness said Ian Packer subjected her to numerous physical and sexual assaults.
The High Court in Glasgow also heard Packer subjected another woman to regular sexual attacks from the age of 14. Ian Packer denies all charges, including Emma Caldwell's murder and numerous rapes and sexual assaults against 27 women. Brandon Cook was in court.
Today was the first full day of evidence at the High Court in Glasgow, and the jury heard from one woman who claims she was raped repeatedly by the accused Ian Packer. She told the court of a time when Ian Packer lost his temper during an argument. In a fit of rage, she says he held the flex of a hoover between his fists, put it behind her head and tried to strangle her. The jury was told Packer would drive this woman around Glasgow's red light district. She said he was constantly looking at who was on the street. The woman also said Packer would regularly go out for long periods, sometimes entire weekends, and was spending money on prostitutes, gambling and drugs. The witness described how Packer raped her lots and lots of times. She said she would cry, but Packer didn't care. Police first interviewed the woman in 2006 during investigations into the death of Emma Caldwell. Ian Packer faces 46 charges, amongst them multiple rapes and sexual assaults. He is also accused of the murder of Emma Caldwell in 2005. The cause of death was strangulation. The High Court heard from another woman who claimed Packer had raped and repeatedly sexually assaulted her from the age of 14. She said he molested me every single second, every time he got the chance. The witness added she did not tell people close to her because she was not believed. 51-year-old Ian Packer denies all the charges against him and has lodged a special defence of incrimination. The trial before Lord Beckett will continue tomorrow. Brandon Cook, STV News at the High Court in Glasgow.
A former Frontline care worker has told STV News of desperate attempts to get PPE from painters and decorators in the early days of the pandemic, as no personal protection equipment was provided.
It comes as the STUC's General Secretary told the UK COVID inquiry in Edinburgh a deadly combination of poor planning and understaffing put key workers in the eye of the storm with no protection. Here's our political reporter, Laura Alderman.
Cara worked as a home carer for years. It was a job she loved, but everything changed when COVID hit. Suddenly, she and tens of thousands of other carers were on the front line, in and out of vulnerable people's homes every day, with little to no PPE.
It was emotionally, physically draining. We were asking about masks and PPE. We were basically told you can wear a mask if you want. That was at the very beginning. We were then asking things like, where do we get masks? Where do we get this stuff? And we were told we don't have any to give you. We had painters and decorators providing us with painting masks, which actually we couldn't breathe in.
She now campaigns to improve pay and conditions for carers and wants answers for what workers went through.
We need the government, Scottish Government, UK Government, to take responsibility, to put their hands up and say, we did not do our best here. We could have done better, and we are sorry. We are sorry for what you went through then and the trauma that's carried through and will carry through with you for the rest of your career.
At the UK COVID-19 inquiry in Edinburgh today, the STUC's General Secretary criticised both governments for a lack of planning, which she said cost lives.
These workers in many cases did not have access to appropriate levels of sick pay. We'd seen people in really frontline services on very low pay, really in the eye of the storm, and not receiving proper PPE safety measures not been in place at the beginning, so we were very cautious and very aware of the fear of our members about getting up and going to work every day.
Key decision makers and the former First Minister Nicola Sturgeon will give evidence to the inquiry, which sits here until the end of this month. It's examining how the Scottish Government handled the pandemic and what lessons can be learned. Laura Alderman, STV News, Edinburgh.
Fighting for her life. That's how one rape survivor described her experience when her case went to court. She is one of a number of people giving evidence to MSPs as part of a reform of the Criminal Justice Bill.
The Scottish Government is proposing a raft of changes to the justice system, which would include a controversial pilot of juryless rape trials, as well as specialist courts for sexual offences. Vanessa Kennedy reports.
When Hannah was giving evidence in court after she was raped, she says she felt like she was the one on trial when being questioned by her abuser's defence lawyer.
I was left feeling like I was fighting for my life in this box, and this man was not going to give in till he broke me. I remember looking at the judge, looking at my advocate depute, back to the judge, back to my advocate depute, kind of like pleading with them with my eyes without saying any words, like, someone help me, throw me a lifeline, something. Nothing came. Nobody stepped in.
She's one of a number of women who've been sharing their experience at a meeting in Parliament today.
I did not feel at all respected by the defence. In fact, I felt humiliated, I felt abused, I felt like I was treated like a criminal.
Their stories will help inform MSPs on what changes should be made to how sexual assaults are dealt with in the justice system. They say there's currently not enough support given to victims, from reporting the crime to the court process itself to after the trial ends.
As Hannah has mentioned, your piece of evidence, you're taken off the shelf, you serve your purpose, you go back on the shelf, your job is done.
One of the proposed changes would include the introduction of specialist sexual assault courts, while juryless trials are also to be piloted.
What we would also like to see is some of the measures within the court being a bit more trauma-informed. So at the moment, there's a real lack of certainty about when cases will call. People are left waiting for days for their court date. I think a bit more certainty, trauma-informed training, those are things that could make a real difference to rape survivors' experience of seeking justice.
For those at Holyrood today, it was all about improving the system for future victims. Vanessa Kennedy, STV News.
Other stories and weather warnings remain across the Highlands and Islands. Temperatures plunged to as low as -14 in Dalwhinnie last night. Roads, railways and schools have all faced disruption.
College lecturers across the country have voted in favour of industrial action, including strikes, amid a long-running pay dispute. The union says lecturers remain determined to fight for a fair pay rise.
The UK government says it's seeking to recover its legal costs from the Scottish government incurred as a result of the gender court case. The Scottish Secretary Alistair Jack said the Scottish government has been informed they will be looking for expenses from proceedings at the Court of Session last year.
And Scottish Labour's deputy leader Jackie Baillie has become Dame Commander of the British Empire. She received the honour from the Princess Royal at a ceremony in Holyrood Palace.
Glasgow's People's Palace has secured £850,000 of lottery cash. The museum's glass house closed in 2019. Courtney Cameron reports.
It's been a Glasgow landmark since 1898, home to collections documenting the city's history. After falling into disrepair, the site's much-loved glass house was closed at the end of 2019, leaving the city disheartened. Today is a major milestone in the museum's restoration project. News locals are welcoming.
I think it's a lot of kind of sentimental kind of memories for people that have lived in this area.
We live quite locally, so we've watched it sort of deteriorate quite badly over the years.
I don't think you could have Glasgow Green without it, to be honest. I remember going as a wee girl.
Campaigners have spent years pushing for the museum's refurbishment and glasshouse reopening.
This is definitely the best day over the last 5 years, and we are all really delighted. Everybody can tell you something about this place. They so want it kept.
A 16-month development phase will get underway in the spring, and if all goes to plan, it's hoped the refurb will be completed by 2027.
The development phase really is when we engage with communities and people who both use the museum but people who don't, to identify what they want to see here, to see how we can apply new technology to deliver that, to look at the collections we can display.
Glasgow Life declined to answer questions about why they let the museum and the glasshouse get into such a state, but did say that after structural issues were identified 5 years ago, it was clear major investment was needed.
Of course, it is sad when any building has to close, any public building, particularly a museum that is close to the heart of the people of Glasgow. But the commitment was always there to make sure that not only would it reopen, but it would be better and more suited to what the people want right now.
The funding paves the way to a wider £7.5 million of lottery funding. The total cost of restoring the palace and its winter gardens is expected to cost more than £35 million.
We want to make heritage a sustainable part of life in Glasgow, brings more tourism, develops jobs.
A reimagined and restored People's Palace should continue to tell the stories of Glasgow and Glaswegians for years to come. Courtney Cameron, STV News, Glasgow.
Ronnie's here with the sport. Is this not the sort of night we would have you stand out in a cold stadium somewhere?
You were literally just saying how much you preferred me to Raman. Don't start changing your tune now. Yes, a very good evening. Nicholas Kuhn says he's here to win every trophy possible after becoming Celtic's first January signing. The winger admits talks with Brendan Rodgers sold him on a move to the champions and says he's confident he can excite the Celtic support. It's looking up the way. No, that's great.
He's the new boy in town. Nicholas Kuhn unveiled at Celtic Park as Brendan Rodgers' first recruit of the transfer window. And having previously played at Ajax and Bayern Munich, the 24-year-old says he understands what it takes to play for the champions.
Of course, at the end, you want to win every trophy there is. That's the goal. I think there were also some clubs at the past. They only accept place number 1. So I'm used to it, and I'm looking forward to what's coming. And of course, you want to win every game.
The German winger trained with his new teammates at Lennoxtown today and will be available for Sunday's Scottish Cup clash with Buckie Thistle. He also revealed it was Brendan Rodgers' vision which sold him on a move to Parkhead.
Yeah, we had some really good meetings. We talked a lot, and he told me what a great and big club this is. It was for me. It was clear at the moment. Celtic called and showed interest that I want to come here.
Kuhn joins on a 5.5-year deal from Rapid Vienna in a move worth around £3 million. But what can Celtic fans expect from their new signing?
The speed, good technique, and I create a lot of chances. And I like to be 1 against 1 or 1 against 2. I love to be in those situations, and I think that's what the fans can expect.
Philippe Clement says he isn't becoming frustrated by the lack of transfers at Rangers, but insists the club do need a few more players in before the window shuts. The Belgian saw his side draw 2-2 with Copenhagen in a friendly at Ibrox last night with goals from Rabbi Matondo and Cyril Dessers. He also revealed left-back Ridvan Yilmaz won't be allowed to leave until a replacement is signed.
Not frustrated. I want the best for the club. I want the best for the group. And I know everybody's working really hard for that. So if it's tomorrow or if it's the 31st of January, that's difficult because we don't control those things. We need a few more in certain positions, and everybody in the club who is involved in that is working day and night about that, I know.
Now, shocks happen in football. That's the words of Dumbarton manager Stevie Farrell as his side prepare to face Rangers in the 4th round of the Scottish Cup. Dumbarton, who sit 4th in League 2, are hoping to cause a huge cup upset as they host the Ibrox side on Saturday evening.
If we don't think we can win, then there's no use getting up Saturday morning. That's the first thing I'll say. The second thing is there is shocks happening in football at every level. Do you know, whether that be the English Premiership, playing, do you know, a lower league club in England, whether it be a Premiership club in Scotland, playing a lower league club in Scotland. Shocks happen. Do you know, can a shock happen on Saturday? Nobody knows. Until the game, do you know, you just never know what's going to happen in a game of football.
Now, after winning the Manager of the Month for December, Derek McInnes has been dealt a double injury blow after Brad Lyons and Kyle Magennis both needed surgery during the winter break. Lyons had an operation on his knee and will be out until April, whilst Magennis suffered a relapse of a hamstring injury and will also be sidelined. McInnes says the news may change his January transfer plans.
Still looking in forward areas, you know. It's like, I've been really pleased with what we've got from the lads here, but still looking to maybe try and bring in a different type of forward if we can. Obviously with injuries to midfielders, we might look to maybe address that depending on what happens between now and the end of the window.
And that is all your sport tonight, folks.
All right, Ronnie, thank you. Well, it's absolutely Baltic outside. Yellow weather warnings in place here in the Central Belt, but up north, some parts are amber. And that's where Sean is tonight. So, Sean, you found the snow?
Oh, I have indeed. You know I'm a big snow chaser. Well, not enough in Dunblane for me last night, but I headed up to Ullapool, the sweet point for snow in the next couple of days, and we have that amber weather warning out, the possibility of another 30 centimetres falling in places. On my journey up here, I got here before that warning was in place at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I spotted these cows having a great time. Highland cows enjoying that snow. I just had to pull over and get a shot of it. Who knew Highland cow could move so quick? I'm not here on my own. I've also got a little snowman here. There's lots of them along the coast. And it's the only place where you'd find a snowman with scallop and mussel shells for buttons. Didn't have many of them in Paisley when we were building snowmen when I was a wee boy, but it is going to stay very, very cold for us in central and southern parts. Not so snowy, but clear and extremely cold again tonight. A change this weekend. Let's have a look.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
So for the time being, we remain in that icy grip, that blue, the white colour on the map there. But watch what happens as we move into the weekend. The greens, the yellows start to return to the map, and we return to the sort of weather we normally get in the winter. We're going to see wind and rain coming in, so it will be turning a lot milder, but for the time being remaining extremely cold. Of course, for us in central and southern parts, a lot of dry weather again tonight with clear spells. A few wintry showers affecting the Hebrides, but for most of us dry, clear, and again very cold. Last night down to about -7, -8 in some Ayrshire glens. It'll be the same again tonight, and probably the same around Renfrewshire. Some of the coldest temperatures, parts of Stirlingshire towards the Highlands, lows -10 to -15. Now tomorrow again, it's mostly dry. It'll be another crisp day with plenty of sunshine for us. Temperatures really struggling though, 1-2 degrees Celsius at best for most of us, though it is a dry day. We still hang on to the odd shower across western parts. So there you can see those temperatures still staying very cold. I expect there will be some spots where those temperatures will remain below freezing. Of course, remember, that means it's another ice day. But we start to see a change in the weather Friday and Saturday. Look, the gale highlighters back around coastal parts. We'll see windy weather at times, some rain coming in from the west, which will initially fall as snow over higher ground. But even here, turning back to rain as the milder air starts to spread in on Sunday. So a change on the way.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Now, a big star is making an appearance on Scotland Tonight this evening, but so I didn't think you were presenting, John.
Very good. No, it's her own little ray of sunshine, Rona, and she's been speaking to the actor Peter Capaldi and his wife Elaine Collins, the executive producer of a new thriller, Criminal Record, in which he plays a police detective. Here's a flavour of what he has to say.
You haven't played a detective before. What was that like?
It was great.
His favourite, I think it's in this episode that's on today, isn't it? Peter's very favourite moment was when he lifted the police tape and went under it.
Had you dreamt of that moment?
It never occurred to me. But then suddenly I turned up on the set and there was all these do not cross. And I thought, I'm crossing. And I'm going to go like that.
You're qualified to do that.
Just like, give me a cup of coffee as well. Like that. So getting to do those policey kind of things was nice.
Some more with Peter Capaldi on Scotland Tonight. That's at 10:40 this evening.
Definitely one to watch. Well, we saw Sean in the snow just there, and if you feel you're maybe missing out on the white stuff, well, we'll leave you with these snowy pics. Good night.
From all of us, thank you for watching. Good night.